Hi everyone, welcome to another video on Love is Blind UK Season 2. This time I'll be sharing my take on Kal and Sarover, and boy is there lots to cover. So first, disclaimers, spoiler alert, I'll be discussing the entire season including finale and reunion. I also understand that it is an edited show. I'm only analyzing the characters portrayed. I also believe that people can grow and change. This analysis is for our own learning and reflection only. Please do not use what I say to bother the cast. So if we start from the beginning. So Kal had explained that he was considering marriage because he wanted the happiness he saw his two brothers have when they got married.
2 older brothers, 2 younger sisters. They're married with kids now. It doesn't make me rush or anything, but just seeing how happy it makes them, like I want that for myself.
That's literally the boat I'm in.
And in terms of personality types, SI introverted sensing and FE extraverted feeling are functions that value connection and also value fitting into societal and cultural norms and values. And both Kal and Sarover share in this. Furthermore, Kal, as a TI introverted thinking hero, also saw the utility of marriage in that his brother got married and turned his life around against addiction.
He had a drink and substance addiction for like most of his adult life. Somehow, someway, checked himself into rehab, got himself clean, and like within like 12 months of coming out of there, he found his wife and got married and has completely turned his life around, and now he's like 2 years sober.
Wow.
And I think they also both romanticize their Indian versus Pakistan backgrounds into a Romeo and Juliet story.
This could be a conflict, you know. I'm half Pakistani. Will your family definitely accept me?
That's the thing, because I know it's true. Indians and...
Yeah, but listen, we can bridge the gap. We can mend the peace.
Are we just going to sort of solve history?
Yeah.
Love is not based on culture, background. There's no limits to it.
Sarover sounded like she had quite a maybe strict, sheltered upbringing as the eldest daughter in a traditional Indian family. Fulfilling her family's expectations was above all else.
Growing up as an Indian girl, there was a lot of pressure. So I've only actually dated Indian boys. I'm dating guys I don't think I may have dated on the outside world.
It felt like being on this show was the first time that Sarover was putting herself first, making her own choices, stepping outside of her family and culture's boundaries.
This process and being with him has just changed me. I put myself first now. I've dropped expectations. I've dropped those voices I was hearing about having to make everybody proud.
And although this is definitely a wonderful beginning to Sarover's journey of self-development, it also means that Sarover lacks experience in terms of the variety of people that she's come across and knowing how to discern and probe potential red flags. Essentially, Sarover has not had enough experience fending for herself, so to speak. She's mainly relied upon her family's expectations and standards to filter potential partners out thus far. And this is not blaming Sarover, but unfortunately, due to this lack of experience, I felt she never really explored or probed Kal on certain red flags that he did display. For example, on their first date, Sarover did ask Kal to talk about his past relationships, in which he said that his last girlfriend was someone that he did think was the one, but a few months in, he checked out and just left her, essentially a preview to their upcoming journey.
I've been single for a year and a few months.
Yep.
I dated a girl in Dubai, was like amazing. Like I thought like this could be the one kind of thing. A few months in, I asked her to be my girlfriend, and then like after that, it fell apart.
Okay.
And then since then, I've just learned like if something ain't right, like don't waste any time.
Yes.
Like life's too short.
And here, Kal did not explain why he ended the relationship, and Sarover never probed either. Like, I don't know what we're meant to learn from this. Sarover in this show just seemed to have been content when Kal says, oh, you know, but you're different, this time it's different.
In the past, whenever I'd spent too much time with a girl in their company, I didn't enjoy it. Like I would genuinely feel uncomfortable, but I've genuinely never had that once with you.
Maybe I'd have given you more space than what I probably would have done naturally.
I've not needed it.
Aww.
And the main red flag that Kal did display from the start was his poor track record of short-term relationships.
I've had quite a few short-term relationships. And to be honest, I'm not sure whether I've fully, truly been in love yet.
By his own admission, all his relationships were short and were ended by him.
All my relationships have failed because of me. I've always ended it because...
So do you take ownership of the failure of your relationship?
Yeah, 100% on me.
Kal's also not seemed to have done any self-reflective work to understand himself better and be able to explain his pattern.
Like, were you actually in love with me?
100%.
But then that's the question where we all go back to, is what changed? And that's it, Kal. That's what it comes down to. And I know you struggle to answer that.
It's a tough question to answer.
And I'm never going to get closure because of that.
Another red flag for me was just that he seemed to be giving unseriousness. The feeling I got from Kal throughout was that he was kind of just winging it. There was no forethought, no consideration of the gravity and practicalities of what he's committing himself to.
Do you think you could put her fully first? I think she could put you first, but I think you'd struggle with that aspect.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I'd probably not even thought of that till now, to be fair.
Definitely.
A clear example of his unseriousness for me was when he had to meet Sarover's mom for the first time, and Sarover had already warned him beforehand how nervous and overbearing her mom was, the cultural significance of what they're doing, and how worried Sarover was over all of it.
Being the eldest in my family, there is that pressure of doing everything right, doing everything where everybody else is happy and all of that. And I think I've always followed the norm in my family. So I think this is the first time they're like, whoa, Sarover's gone off track here. Is everything okay? Like, for once, maybe I'm just kind of trying to put myself first. And
yeah, nothing wrong with that.
It feels wrong, though, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
And if Kal had cared about Sarover, he would have supported her and shared in the load by preparing and putting some thought into what he would say to Sarover's mom, kind of like you would prepare for a job interview. Yet when it came to the meeting, he just felt like he was just winging it. Like he couldn't even articulate why he loved Sarover with any depth or meaning.
Couple of things, to be honest.
That'd be good to hear.
I've never dated a Southern girl before. I'm going to be honest, I like the posh Southern accent.
Yeah.
Something new and exciting for me, and then, so we're quite similar both. We're obviously both into fitness.
Okay.
And look, I do understand that the scene with Kal and Sarover's family was heavily and poorly edited because we never really got to see why Sarover's mom was suddenly won over. But if I had to guess after watching the whole show what really happened, I don't really trust that it was Kal who won her mom over. I think it was Sarover who won her mom over.
I feel like I've never done anything in my life where you feel, whoa, Sarover's off the rails. It just felt almost like, do you not trust me? That's what it was almost coming across like. This is real, this is us, we are doing this.
But for you to say you've got my back and you stand with me, that means so much to me.
A third massive red flag was that no one in Kal's inner circle felt remotely confident about him following through with any relationship, let alone marriage. So his brother was the most brutally honest about his doubts and Kal's stubbornness and self-centeredness.
Do I think the relationship's going to last? If my life was on it, I'd say no. I know what Kal's like. He's difficult to please. He very much loves his own space and he's very routine, and if anything breaks that routine, i.e. a relationship or a girl, which they do, it can adversely affect him and he'll just be like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of this. Let's be done.
Kal's mom, who he's meant to be quite close to, said she's never heard Kal express a desire for marriage.
Kal's never really expressed wanting to get married.
And at the wedding, I noticed that Kal's mom and Nan both looked extremely relieved when Kal said yes, as if they never trusted him to say yes.
I do.
Literally, no one, not one person featured from Kal's friends and family gave him any vote of confidence.
He's had a few relationships and they've lasted not that long. Once he gets past this honeymoon stage, will it last?
Yeah.
Only him can decide.
Yeah, have a short relationships, but that's because if I know I don't want to marry that person, why would I waste her time? Why would I waste my time?
Robbie's very sceptical, but I know I'm making the right decision with Sarover.
And the last red flag I would like to point out here was Kal's rebellious streak. For example, he insisted on wearing white for his wedding after he was told that only brides wear white.
Nobody should wear white apart from the brides.
Makes me want to do white more.
Hold on a minute.
His priorities seem to be just doing what he wants on his terms and proving people wrong. Very little brother energy.
Ned, what do you think of this then?
Yeah, you look incredible, bro.
It's different, isn't it?
Oh, I'm not meant to wear white? I'll show ya. Oh, you don't think I'm cut out for marriage? I'll show ya.
Brother to brother. Would you actually marry her? Go all the way? Because I don't think you would, me, to be fair.
I wouldn't have gone this far if I didn't think I could.
It was all about him and what he wants to do in the moment. There was no consideration for what his partner wants and how his decisions would impact her. Hi, quick break to say that if you wanted us to analyze your personality type and make sense of your relationships, communication, and decision making, then please find booking details in the description box below. So, I know they always refer to the show Love is Blind as an experiment, but for Kal, this really was an experiment for him.
I genuinely went to that experiment open to it. What I've been doing in the past hasn't worked, so why not try something crazy like this? I just don't think I'm compatible in a long-term relationship, and it took me to meet, like, on paper, the perfect woman to realise that.
Instead of working on himself first before causing any harm to anyone else, Kal thought the easiest, most efficient solution to figuring himself out was to come onto this show, this experiment, where everything is set up, fast-tracked, all conditions optimized, then immerse himself into the engagement process fully and see what happens.
You've had a lot of girls, but never that many long-term relationships. Yeah. She's not your usual type either, is she?
I've done the opposite. Usually I've gone for physical attraction first, like most people do. I've only been forced to only go for the emotional connection first, the personality. And I think because of that, it feels like it's got a bit more staying power.
TI introverted thinking is a function that bases decisions on logic rather than personal preference and feelings. So when a decision is completely up to personal preference, such as what you want for a relationship or a partner, because TI hero does not have access to FI introverted feeling, they have to gather data, experiment, trial and error. They have to observe themselves in different contexts and experiences so as to work backwards to figure out what they're feeling and what they like and not like. SI introverted sensing in this context is used to gather information by observing how much they themselves enjoyed the experience. Kal's overall objective here was to observe if he would achieve a sustainable loving feeling if he immersed fully in this marriage experiment where all variables are optimized, finding the perfect woman who met all the criteria.
Before entering this experiment, I had written down all the qualities I wanted in my future wife. You're all those things and so much more.
And this might have made total sense in Kal's head, but in reality, his experiment is incompatible with real-life conditions. So given his unchanged status of, being a bit of a F-boy, it was never going to be sustainable outside the show's bubble. After filming stops, couples actually have to work twice as hard to maintain the relationship because you're essentially married to someone who you've only known for 6 weeks. It's not going to be plain sailing once real life hits, and you have to expedite merging your lives together practically and logistically.
And now in the real world, especially in like the first 3 months of your relationship in your marriage, this is some serious things. And I don't think people know the gravity of how difficult, setting your foundation during those 3 months of the first 3 months of your marriage, because at the end of the day, you've only had a month and a half to fall in love, get married. It goes very, very quickly.
You actually have to be doubly intentional and committed to each other. And it's not in Kal's selfish, careless nature to take any of this into consideration.
Very much put myself first in most of my life. I feel like I can put Sarover first. It's one thing saying it, but now I've got to be able to do it into practice.
And what's terrifying about Kal for me was that I do believe that his feelings for Sarover were true and genuine at the time.
I know how I feel about her.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get 6 months in and check out and go cold and back off and then ultimately break off the relationship.
Yeah.
Kal has his feeling function in the lowest position, the inferior. And our inferior function can be our deepest aspirations. FE, extroverted feeling inferior, can get carried away with thinking that they are great at relating and connecting with people. They aspire to be good with people and good at relationships.
I do love you and I want you to know that.
No.
She brings out the best in me and is so easy to be around and is so thoughtful. Whatever comes next, it'll be the best part of my life.
However, because the inferior is deep within us and takes a lot of energy out of us, it can be quite an on and off switch and ultimately not the priority for this personality type. So when TI introverted thinking hero kicked back in, it all fell apart.
How's the first year of married life been?
What married life? What married life?
At the reunion and subsequent interviews, Kal has failed to provide Sarover or the rest of us any clear, concrete answers as to why he suddenly terminated the relationship.
What went wrong? And when
Nothing. That's the hard thing. Nothing went wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. She was a good wife. We're just not right for each other.
There's got to have been something that you don't just kind of go, you're a great wife, but we're just not right for each other.
He alluded to their differences in emotional and physical needs and how he couldn't fulfill her. Translation, wasn't prepared to compromise.
Wait, what?
Physical and emotional. You wanted more from me. I couldn't give more.
Why do you feel like you couldn't give more, Kal?
Because I already thought I was giving enough. Look, when you've seen the show, I'm not as lovey-dovey PDA as the other guys, and that's just the way I am. And you knew I was like that.
On the official podcast, Kal also admitted that not being able to meet Sarover's needs emotionally did make him feel like a failure.
When you feel like you're giving your most and they want a little bit more, you kind of feel like a bit of a failure, you know what I mean?
So I'm aware that a lot of other commentary have explained Kal's behavior being consistent with dismissive, avoidant attachment style, and I would tend to agree, but I can also try to explain what may have happened via his personality type. FE, extroverted feeling inferior, felt constant shame that he was unable to meet Sarover's emotional needs, that he was incompetent at relating and connecting with her. FE inferior also ran out of energy, ran out of stamina. It couldn't sustain the affectionate persona that Kal so enjoyed cosplaying during the show.
I'm not as lovey-dovey PDA as the other guys, and that's just the way I am, and you knew I was like that.
But you saw what my physical, like the love language was, holding hands, alert, you knew all that.
Once TI introverted thinking hero returned to the driver's seat, Kal realized that back in their real lives, there was no longer any utility or benefit for him to stay in this relationship.
I think a relationship should add more to your life than take away. To me, it gets to the point where it takes more out of me. And it's nothing against her.
Wow.
She's an incredible woman.
His original objective was to see if he would feel sustained loving feelings for his partner under perfect conditions. He's realizing that he is losing interest as usual, feeling the same as in his past relationships. So he's got his answer. Mission accomplished.
You should be alone.
I'm fine with that. It's took me a long time to realize. It took the experiment and Sarover to realize that, because if I can't be content with her, then who else? Because on paper, she was literally all those things.
Yeah.
But still, for me, there's something missing.
SI introverted sensing as the child function also no longer enjoyed the experience once the love is blind bubble was over. The child function can throw a tantrum when it's upset or unfulfilled, so after filming, things were no longer fun, easy, exciting. Instead, he's left with this hugely inconvenient long-distance relationship.
If I don't feel content and I feel a bit like, oh, then what should I do? Do I just string it along because for the sake of the experiment, or do I break it off and let her move on?
And just to clarify, even though I'm explaining Kal based on his personality type, I'm not saying that everyone with these functions and personality type will come to the same conclusions and behavior. There are plenty of other people of the same function, same personality type who see great utility and benefit of having and investing in deep relationships. TI introverted thinking decides individually their own objectives and what makes sense for them. Personality type also does not determine character and integrity. At the reunion and subsequent interviews, Kal showed a complete lack of understanding of why the rest of us are all appalled by how he handled the breakup and questioning his real intentions on the show.
Kal, as a mother, it's been heartbreaking and devastating watching my daughter being led down a path that was never genuine.
I disagree with that. Respectfully.
For Kal, he is convinced that he did his best and that his love was true.
You've seen the episodes. You can't tell me that wasn't real. You can't fake that.
I saw me in love, and I saw...
And you don't think I was? You think I can fake that?
I actually wanted to ask you that tonight. Were you actually in love with me?
100%.
And if I had to step into Kal's delusional shoes for a sec, I can see why he thinks it was real for him and it was his best, because his relationship with Sarover was most definitely his longest and most committed relationship ever.
Never been anywhere near close to this in a relationship before.
By his own admission, he's always the one quickly dumping every girl he's been with, even when they were his type, blonde hair, blue-eyed, by the way. SE, extroverted sensing blindspot, can be blind to what other people are experiencing or oblivious to the experience that they are giving other people. So in the world according to Kal and Kal alone, sure, he was super committed versus his old self and his own track record, but back in the real world with the rest of us, his 3-month attempt at marriage was a joke. I felt the way that Kal went about his divorce, keeping it completely a one-sided decision, was very patriarchal and patronizing. He gave Sarover no say in the matter whatsoever.
To get a phone call that my daughter has just been told, just like that, with no indication that you had these feelings, something's changing or something needs to be looked at, or no communication. She was just blindsided one morning. Sarover, it's ended because it's the right decision for you. For you.
And Kal famously snapped back at Sarover and her mom, saying, "I don't need to consult on a breakup."
Kal, it was your decision.
But you don't usually
It was like it was your marriage. It was your
You don't
life.
usually consult on a breakup.
Kal, can I finish?
We were
please?
married, Kal.
Can I
There's
finish?
2 people in a marriage.
The feeling I got was that he was the boss. He decided on his end alone that the marriage was no longer working for him. So he essentially fired Sarover. He fired her like an employee with no notice period.
Did you see the end coming?
Never. I asked you so often, like, is there anything we need to talk about? Is there anything? You'd be like, no, no, no. To the point, you were like, look, if there is anything, I will tell you. You never told me until the day you ended our marriage.
Kal also always took Sarover for granted. His attitude seemed like Sarover's opinion is irrelevant. She's obsessed with me. She won't change. Thus, I'm the deciding factor here.
If the wedding was yesterday, I would have said yes. I'm so ready with it with you.
You would have said yes 3 weeks ago.
In interviews, even when he sounded endearing and regretful, saying that no one wished it to work more than he did, the focus was still all on him, what he potentially gained, what he lost. And he never mentions Sarover as an equal participant in this marriage, what she needed, what she lost. Sarover was always just a means to his ends.
You know what the hardest thing was about breaking that relationship? It wasn't that I had to say goodbye to Sarover. It was the family, which is, like, don't get me wrong, a curve for Sarover, but I just got on with the family so well. And I wish I could have made it work. Nobody wants to have made it work more than me, because like I say, turning my back on all of that, I understand what I've walked away from.
And Sarover has expressed on the podcast that after the honeymoon phase of filming, she was the only one compromising, and it was Kal's way or the highway.
She was ready to move up to Wigan and would get her own place and stuff. But to me, if I'd have done that and then still done the same decision after the fact, she's left her job, she's left her family, that's literally going to have a really negative lasting effect on her.
I never got the opportunity to make a decision together, because then later it was either you live in Wigan or we end it.
It felt like Kal thought that he had nothing to lose in this experiment. Best case scenario, he'll find out that he is cut out for long-term commitment, find his perfect wife, be married, and achieved everything his other brothers achieved, but in 6 weeks. Worst case scenario, he can now definitively say that he's not cut out for relationships, put that question to rest. And, surely the wifey would be okay with the breakup, because if it's not working for me, then it can't be working for her. So I'm deciding what's best for both of us.
I feel like for all that time I was in it, I gave it 100%. But then when I just checked out, why drag it on? Why prolong any suffering? She needs to meet the right person for her, and I just need to be on my own, let's be honest.
I feel like Kal epitomizes Einstein's statement, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Kal has literally not done anything different. He's got a consistent track record of ending relationships quickly because he loses interest. And without doing anything differently, without giving it more thought, without investing in self-reflection, introspection, therapy, he expects to just kind of show up to this crazy experiment and for things to just be different this time.
The time we've had together has been amazing, and I love her. I think there's a lot to look forward to. I feel like if it is true love, then it won't fizzle out.
Kal's put the onus and responsibility for this perfect woman to make things happen for him potentially. And if even this perfect woman can't make it work, then, I'm just not cut out for marriage.
I do believe he went in it with the greatest intention. And Sarover, she is a brilliant girl. And if it isn't going to work with her, I don't think it will work with anyone else. And it's really down to him as a person.
Does that play a part in it, Kal? Is that you kind of see
Couldn't have explained
around
it about
you
myself, yeah.
There is no ownership or accountability here. What did you personally do, Kal, to try to prevent your quick descent into boredom, apathy, laziness in a relationship, regardless if the woman was perfect and doing everything right? The insanity of expecting a potential different outcome when the problem has not changed. The problem was always him. Kal has also insisted that he gave it 100%, that he thinks he was a good husband, even if he says so himself.
She made it I was a bad husband, but I cared for her, protected her, provided for her. I paid for every single thing we ever did together. And when I said that on stage, for some reason I got laughed at, which is just insane.
But he doesn't understand that leaving your wife at the 3-month mark is what gives away your unseriousness and lack of trying. Giving up only after 3 months reveals that you had no intention of putting the level of effort required for a long-term relationship. This is a legally binding marriage. Commitment is not saying, I'll stick around as long as it's easy breezy, effortless. No one who's serious about marriage quits in 3 months. Therefore, not a good husband. Kal does not understand that love is not just a feeling. Love is a decision. It's action. Love requires intention, effort, investment. You can't just expect to reap the rewards of a relationship without putting anything in yourself.
If you want a family, you want to grow old with all these people around you who love you, then you've got to invest in that partnership with someone who you can trust, and Sarover is definitely that person.
What infuriates me the most is a complete lack of empathy towards Sarover, his wife, someone he called his princess at one point. Has he ever stopped to think or ask Sarover what this experience meant for her? Has he stopped to think what psychological damage he's done to this poor woman who he's essentially led on? And not because he didn't have feelings for her, but because their goals and their level of commitment for this experience were completely different to begin with. And I think Kal deep down knew this, especially after filming ended and reality set in. And has he thought about what Sarover could have potentially sacrificed for him when he's not even sure if he's capable of commitment? Like, she could have potentially sacrificed her relationship with her family, her parents, to be with him. Kal can hide behind his good intentions all he wants. Oh, I was genuine, I didn't plan any malice. When in reality, it's his complete carelessness, unthoughtfulness, and unseriousness. Sometimes you have to realize that playing with hearts has massive psychological consequences for those you claim to love. Your incompetence for having zero self-awareness, incompetence in surviving beyond the honeymoon period, and incompetence in handling the end of a relationship can be lethal because it's soul-destroying. On the official podcast, Kal tried to sound more gracious and accepting by saying, "Oh, I could separate the two things, the good times and the breakup. I can look back on our relationship fondly. Why can't Sarover?"
And I feel like for Sarover, no breakup's ever nice the way it was, and it was like jarring to her because of the, I suppose, the suddenness. It's tainted everything that's come before and sort of like poisoned it in her mind. Whereas I can separate the two. I can separate the breakup from her marriage and from her experience in the pods, which to me was some of the best times of my life. And still to this day, that wedding day was the best day of my life, even to this day.
Are you for real? Of course, you can look back fondly, Kal. You got everything you wanted out of it. You got to make all the decisions on your terms at your timing. You were not half as serious about any of this. You called it a breakup when it's actually a divorce, a legally binding marriage. You're not the one who was left blindsided, bewildered, abandoned, and betrayed. You're not the one having to explain this to your Indian family and having to face the shame and embarrassment on her own. You're also not the one who's still seeking marriage and is now having to explain to future prospects that she's technically divorced. Kal has robbed Sarover of her first, an experience that she will never get back. And Kal telling us that you can still look back fondly, it doesn't prove how loving and good intentioned you are. It actually proves how delusional, selfish, and blind you are to your recklessness. Personality type-wise, Sarover has SI introverted sensing, where the past is always going to be relevant. She will always reference past experiences to make sense of her present and future. And she is going to remember this forever. And it takes a huge amount of strength and energy for anyone with SI to move on from the past. And thank God that Sarover does seem to have immense inner strength and dignity to move forward.
Sarover is okay. She's okay.
I actually am okay.
Yeah.
Not now.
And she's moving forward.
Everybody deserves love despite anything else. It's unconditional and there's no boundaries. And I will stand for that. Kal might not have been the one for me, but I will go out there now leading with my heart.
So at the reunion and subsequent interviews, Kal seemed desperate to convince us and probably himself that he's not a bad person here.
I spoke to her mum, just to explain, and I could tell she doesn't think I'm a bad person. I could tell the way she was talking to me. And to be honest, I wanted to do that with Sarover, but just with the craziness of the day, I did she couldn't even look at me at the reunion. She couldn't even look at me. Am I that bad of a person that you can't even look at me? I don't think I am.
For example, on the official podcast, he was asked about what his brother said, that his brother wouldn't bet his life on Kal making a marriage work, and Kal spun it to mean that his brother was just skeptical of marriage in general, that it's normal for anyone to not bet their life on any marriage based on divorce statistics.
Even his brother betting it won't be a long-term relationship.
Yeah. 50% of marriages in the West end in divorce, or if you bet in your life, would you bet against it or for it?
NE extroverted intuition has the ability to flip the meaning of things and make it sound plausible to everyone, even plausible to themselves. However, I think in this case, I am pretty confident that his brother was talking solely about him, not statistically all marriages in general. Kal also said on the podcast that the proof that he was a good husband was that Sarover was begging him to stay with her. If I'm that bad, why would you still want me?
She was making it like I was a bad husband and I made her like this shell of herself. If I was such a bad husband, why did your mum want me to change my mind? And why did you want me to change my mind? It doesn't make any sense.
And the arrogance and lack of introspection here. Kal, they are not asking you to reconsider because you are a good husband. Sarover is asking you to not give up because she takes her vows seriously. She has made a commitment to you and to marriage. Also, Kal, have you not heard of dysfunctional attachment styles or abusive relationships where victims try to fix something toxic because they are so insecure, beaten down, and gaslit? Which actually sounds potentially where your marriage was heading since you remember it so fondly, meanwhile Sarover felt dismissed, disregarded, and blindsided.
I remember it all being good. Maybe I'm looking like rose-tinted glasses.
I just felt like I wasn't an equal in that relationship. It was always Kal's way or there was no way.
Kal, stop flattering yourself as this perfect specimen of a husband just because Sarover loved you naively and unconditionally.
Love is blind, but she's not.
All you did, Kal, was the bare minimum expected of a husband, which just so happens to be your personal best.
I cared for her, protected her, provided for her. I paid for every single thing we ever did together. And when I said that on stage, for some reason I got laughed at, which is just insane.
Oh, sorry for booking you a 5-star honeymoon off my own back.
I'm sorry to tell you, Kal, but you are the bad person in this scenario. And only in acknowledging that hard fact do you even have a chance at redemption and growth, making sure you don't traumatize another good woman this badly ever again. Lastly, I will attempt to explain some of Kal's oddball behavior between the finale and reunion when their shocking divorce was not announced yet. So just before the reunion aired, Kal decided to post his marriage vows on his socials, all framed by the way, making everyone think that they are still happily married. He was also apparently very active in comment sections, hearting everyone who celebrated their marriage.
He posted his vows just a few days ago, knowing he broke up with her after 3 months.
So then when their divorce was announced at the reunion and they revealed that he was the one who unilaterally decided on that, that came off as really odd, distasteful, and knowing his potential personality type, this is unfortunately his functions at play. FE, extroverted, feeling inferior, can have the desire to relate, connect, and show love and care. But it might not have the skill to do this properly, especially under stress, especially in tricky, awkward situations that require a lot of skill and nuance. SE, extroverted sensing, as a blind spot, in addition to this low feeling function, can present as being blind to optics, to how things look in a social emotional context. For example, Kal wearing a heartbreak shirt on proposal day. So Kal posting his wedding vows, cheering on his marriage along with the rest of the audience when he knows that he divorced his wife, was his socially inept attempt at relating and connecting and showing that he cares. It was kind of like he murdered the relationship in cold blood and then joined the rest of us to mourn at the wake.
I've walked away from the most beautiful story that we can never replicate that, you know what I mean? It's such a unique thing, the way we met and the cultural things we've overcome.
Wow, this is deep stuff. Like
we had a deep relationship.
Yeah.
I can be deep sometimes.
Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I hope it was helpful and interesting. If so, please like, subscribe, and share to support my channel. I've developed my own methods of interpreting and assessing personality types. If you would like us to assess and analyze your personality type and make sense of your relationships, communication, and decision making, then please find booking details in the description box below.